going to do the melty one.
Welcome, everyone. We decided that we no longer want to play video games. Our true calling in life is to read fan fictions. We hope you enjoy.
Jurassic Park, Raptors in Love. Chapter 1. Robert Muldoon was a very talented man. He was an expert in animal behavior and a crack shot as well. That was how he got hired for the job of game warden at Jurassic Park, and he did a damn fine job. He knew the raptors better than anyone around. Nobody knew that, in addition to being one hell of an expert beast tamer and hunter, he was also an insanely sick, perverted man. He enjoyed seeing raptors mate, and one time he'd even loosened the screws on the door of one of the loading cages of the raptor pen and watched a female in heat horrifically and hilariously rape and murder an unfortunate young green card carrying worker. While he beat off to it, and another worker videotaped it, much to his worker's confused yet dismissive chagrin. I lean away from the mic to breathe. They knew better than to say anything about it to anyone else, lest they get shoved into the raptor's pens next. It was an accident, of course. It always was an accident. A sexy accident.
What? I'm using that one, oh god.
Muldoon had studied the raptors for years, and even lived with them, and they accepted him into their strange and vicious little raptor society, even though he was a stinking drunk and a snooty British man and a complete social freak, and sometimes he blew them up with grenades for fun. He knew some of them had changed sex from female to male, but he had never told Mr. Hammond or anybody else working at the park because he liked hiding in the ferns and watching them fuck.
There goes the crap!
Shit, hang on. And watching them get down and do the dirty bipedal lizard hump. Very much so. Because once you've seen sweet, sweet live velociraptor pornography, regular human pornography just doesn't seem all that interesting anymore.
Oh my god!
But Muldoon had a problem. He was starting to get less and less entertained with juicy velocismut as time went on. He tried increasing his alcohol intake, but it did not help. It just made him get really disoriented and black out, and sometimes he'd wake up and discover he'd made tender love to his hat. And then his hat would be all stained, and he'd wasted a good $40 getting it cleaned all those times, no questions asked. He was getting mighty pissed and frustrated and angry, and somewhat depressed, but mostly incredibly horny. "I need a good wank, damn it!" the sun-soaked Brit muttered as he hiked up his form-fitting short shorts so that they showed off his exceptionally tight bum for all the ladies and possibly a few of the more pervy blokes to see. It was then that he realized it was mating season for some of the dinosaurs who the JP breeders had a... Hang on. Did I skip? Okay. The JP breeders had allowed... Oh, it's short for Jurassic Park. Shit. Had allowed to change from female to male to produce eggs because it was easier and more cost-effective to do that than creating the eggs from test tube scratch all the time. But then they killed the males after it was done. He skipped merrily off to the raptor pen to see how his favorite girls were doing. Chapter 2. They were indeed engaged in a furious flurry of cawing, barking, and making those creepy raptor noises they always made as the two ladies were fighting over who would be first to get the muscular Velociraptor who was lounging in the bushes and waiting for someone to come and sit and spin upon his... God damn it. I snorted. I hate that. Lounging in the bushes and waiting for someone to come and sit and spin on his ready and willing reptilian rod. Their bickering came to a quick end when Muldoon came crashing down over the side of the pen, having forgotten where the door was in his soused stupor, and opted to simply scale the wall through the electric wire fence instead. But having a blood alcohol level far above the acceptable standard, he was quite off balance. He got up and brushed himself off suavely and strode over to the pair with gusto. Now, ladies, why don't you just both have a turn on that fine chap there? Muldoon said, trying to get the party kick-started. His groin throbbed with an urge so powerful it would have caused a lesser man to break down and weep tears of madness stronger than a Lovecraft protagonist.
What? Wow, that was...
The two Velocisluts pondered the suggestion a few minutes before smiling to each other with their razor-sharp jaws full of deadly teeth for eating the flesh of lesser creatures. So they did. The buck gave a clawed thumbs up to his friendly human helper. Muldoon rejoiced and jumped back into his spot in the bushes as the threesome of fearsome godless raptor mating ensued. Not long after, the moaning cries of the wild gamesman echoed across the fern-filled enclosure as he reached the peak of his climax, and so did the terrible trio of demonic beasts. And then everybody had a much-needed post-coital smoke.
Oh, God.
Chapter 3.
Oh, it's so good.
Dude, it's like halfway over. Muldoon was about to leave, his quest to end erectile dysfunction properly fulfilled for the time being.
Yeah, when did he get erectile dysfunction?
Cause all the booze he drinks.
Also, would it make
Follow
more
the
sense
story.
to call it erectile dysfunction?
I'm not the fucking writer, alright? I just get paid to read the thing. Anyway. Shit. He got up and jerked his shorts back up. He was startled as a yellow eye peered back at him from the brush beyond, having been watching him the whole time, but he was too drunk to realize. A snout poked out from the fluffy, flower-adorned shrubbery, and then ahead he found himself staring into... Wow, fucking run-on sentences. Staring into the deepest, most soulful yellow eyes he'd ever seen. And they belonged to another young raptor buck. This one had a fine muscular shape and well-toned limbs, as he worked out a lot to maintain his figure. A beautiful scaly coat of the sexiest tan leathery skin you could ask for, and feathery tufts of hair slicked back upon his handsomely protruding and tooth-filled face. He smiled at Muldoon suggestively. "What's all this now?" the raptor fetishist queried, surprised by the sudden encounter. "Sorry, young fellow, I'm done for the day," he said and turned to continue about his way, but the young buck would not take no for an answer, having been flung into a wild frenzy by the game warden's sexual display minutes prior. "Oh, what the!" he gasped as he was pounced upon by the lustful brute, and the raptor shoved its long, thick tongue into a sultry little tosser mouth. "Filthy towers!" Muldoon shouted through the tongue lashing as he tried to shove the horny fellow off of his person. It was to no avail. He could smell the smelly smell of raptor pheromones, and they smelled like candy, but also sex. And kind of like almonds, too.
What?
But who was there to question? Oh, yes, he was. The raptor started clawing off the khaki-clad man's tiny shorts as he continued drowning him in sloppy dinosaur kisses. The kind that make the people at the Alliance for JP Erotica, or whatever they call themselves, have to go out and buy new keyboards. I hope you're still out there, Michael. You're an inspiration to us all. Chapter 4. Muldoon trembled harder as he found himself getting jolly good tight, once again under the unnatural molestation. He realized then that his main problem was that he was an alcoholic, and it's been killing his boner for years, so he turned to the loving embrace of raptor gay sex for comfort, and found the answer to all of his prayers within. "Oh God, yes, this is it! This is what I've been looking for all these years," he yelled, as the young stud flipped him over and tore down his scant ass coverings and exposed his deliciously supple and firm bottom. "Do it! Do it!" he moaned and grasped the earth beneath him for safety and support as he raised his bum into the air for the mounting as was proper raptor custom. "Roar," said the young raptor as he took the invite quite readily. "Because it's not rape if you're willing, and everyone knows rape is just surprise sex you didn't know you wanted anyway.
Wait, is that in the
Except
story?
this time it was dinosaurs, and dinosaurs are awesome." I am not adding anything to this story. "Ah, yes!" screamed Muldoon as the engorged monster mating stick poked his delicate insides. What?
Let's just keep going. Because it's just that big chunk of red where you're like, oh yes!
Okay, hang on, I lost my fucking spot. Okay. "Ah, yes!" screamed Muldoon as the engorged monster mating stick poked his delicate insides, but it didn't hurt because male raptors' sexy bits produce their own lubrication. He was just screaming because he's a screamer in the sack, and there was no sack because he was lying face down in the dirt. So he was screaming louder because he was outside and had a really big raptor penis in his ass.
There's no way this
I will give you the fucking screenshot. Muldoon continued yelling as he was thrust forward roughly, because all raptor matings are hardcore rough, and they beat the shit out of you when they do it. He was getting claw marks all over his back and bum and dirt in his face, and hair and little rocks were hitting him in the face every time his head was slammed down against the ground because a 470-pound lizard is banging him, and that feels like someone hitting you in the ass with a Chevy pickup a little, so you get the idea. It was magical in every way. "Row!" yelled the young gay raptor in love as he continued about his splendid afternoon quickie with the perverted madman. "Oh God, yes! Root me, you filthy bastard!" cried Muldoon before erotic gasping grunt. "You should all be destroyed because you're all dirty, perverted sods, the lot of you. Ah, yes, but I love it. Oh God, yes, I'm a twisted little man slut. Yes, I am. Keep shooting. Shoot me, shoot me!" He growled as he slammed himself back against his primal cross-species lover. And then he gave a loud, ear-shattering scream of unbridled ecstasy as he unloaded his 6-gauge shot-off purple shotgun of masculine glory onto his surroundings. The raptor said, "Row," in a deep, baritone, raptory, seductive voice, and unleashed his orgasmic fury upon the unwitting human. With the screaming cry of velociraptory triumph, the creature shot a torrent of ancient, hot, paleotonic reproductive mayo that sent the man-whore JP Game Warden flying into the bushes several feet away. Because raptors are better than giant flightless birds, even if they are cousins, and Final Fantasy VII sucks and is an overrated piece of shit that only got popular exactly like Pokemon and all animes after that because it was one of the first more widely recognized RPGs to grow popular in the West, and that's the only fucking reason. God, I hate stupid fat fuck Americans. But that's besides the point here. Back to the story. The young buck lifted up and strode off, chipper as a member of the GOP during a recession. Muldoon groaned and got to his knees, dusting himself off and rubbing his aching forehead. He sighed with a deep relief, however, feeling much better now that he'd received a proper shagging, the likes of which he'd never known up until this point in his otherwise depressing and miserable life. "Bloody hell, all that rot was lovely," he exclaimed as he jumped to hunt down another buck in heat once the tingling in his colon subsided. He knew he wouldn't have to look that far. It was Tuesday. He might just take a stroll over to the Dilophosaur pens if he was feeling perky enough, he thought. The ambrosial scent of the raptor love pheromones would assist him quite nicely until he could step off for a shower. And who knew when the hell that would be because he was a real man. Ladies. The end.
Oh my fucking God.
Oh, man.
You see, the one I found I want to do was short and not sexual. I don't know if I want to
That's
do that.
fine. You don't have, doesn't have to be sexual, you fucking weirdo.
Okay,
We're
fine,
just reading fan
I'll do
fiction.
this one then.
It's our true calling, Butters.
I'll do this one then. Okay. So, where is it? Let me just find it.
You're gonna have to edit all this stuff out.
Yeah.
Alright, let's do this. Now, here we go. Before I start, there's an author's knot.
Alright.
Someone had the idea I should write a Cowboy Bebop.
At the microphone, not at the phone.
Somebody had the idea I should write a Cowboy Bebop fanfic, but I never watch it, and don't know if it's about, but I had an idea. So I decided instead I write it about Bebop from Ninja Turtles if he was a cowboy.
Oh.
Bebop had walking all over until he got tired for a drink. "I will drink this water," it said, and then he drank it, but there wasn't any. "Where will I get water?" Bebop said, because he was in the desert and the nearest town was close by, but he had to get there in time. "We have some water, but it will coat you barely," said two mans, and they were cowboys. They wore black, which in the Texas said that they were outlawing. It's so hard to get through this. "I will buy your water if you are." But then one of them said, "No, you must give us all of your money, and then we will give you water." And they took their guns out and pointed them at Cowboy Bebop. Bebop spin kicked his head off so hard it hit the other guy in the head and gave his node bleeding. "Ow, my friend's head," he said, then fainted dead. He picked up the mugger head and said it was a good idea I kicked you, but he said he still didn't have water, so he had to get to town, but it was important to keep it head, because it might later be useful. Author's note. The mugger's head did not have blood on it, because the story is rated only PG, so it is like when the head cuts off in Star Wars. Luckify. He arrived at town in a moment too soon for comfort. "Who goes there?" asked town sheriff. "We can unafford to bring in such cattle as you." So Bebop said, "I am on the side and here is proof." And he showed them the head, and he took with him cleverly. "That is an outlaw head. You are welcome to our town." And the town cheered and gave him some water. "Not so fat," said a cowboy, Baxter Stockman. But if it was Baxter Stockman before he turned into a fly, and he was just a regular Boxster. He
What?
he pointed at Bebop, holding his head, and said about the head, "That head is my friend who works for me and is not an outlaw's." The sheriff laughed at him and said, "Do you have proof?" And Baxter said no and was with sad. But then, when Bebop looked, the head was gone. "Where did head go?" "That is my proof that I am on the law." So Bebop went to the outlaw's hideout and took his gunks. "Do not shoot us, Bebop." "Okay." I don't know why that fucking threw me off. So Bebop put his guns away and had a civilized talking with at them. "We are only outlaws because we have no money. That is an excusing, so you must come with me and prove my innocence." Innocent, I don't know how to say that. "I'm afraid that is not having possible, Mr. Bebop," said the outlaw boss, who wasp have big mustache.
What if I got fucking drunk? Something to type up a fanfiction.
"Are you here to ambush me, you scum?" Bebop turned around and his guns shot into his hands, and he turned around and shot all the bullets. "You missed, Captain Bebop!" And the boss jumped over the table to attack him with his rifle. But Bebop said, "That is why I always have one more bullet left." The fuck is... And he put in his gun and shot the boss face through the window, and the bullet bounced back and hit Bebop's eye. "Ow, my eye!" Bebop wrecked. "I will have to wear eye patch now." "Thanks for saving me," said nephew. What?
What? Where'd the nephew come from?
I don't know. "You're welcome for saving the day, but now I am out of bullets. The other outlaws, because they were okay to begin street ST again, this time being on the side of right and order." Bebop put on eye patch and returned him boy to the mayor, thanking for saving my friend's nephew. "But this is not the only time," said Bebop, and he took off the mayor's hat. And they saw he was Baxter Stockman in disguise. So Bebop shot out his guns.
I thought he was out of ammo, though.
"Don't shoot, you nuisance! Why should I spare your life?" "Well, because if you shoot at me, I will kill the cowboy Rooksteady." "No, that has not happened," Bebop said, and shot Baxter 12 times. "Ha ha! You made a mistake. You did not fire the extra shot. Yes, I got it from the outlaws. They are such traitor, Baxter yelled, and he died, and Bebop just one shot left, so he used it to untie Rocksteady before the trap happened. Thanks, you saved me from the trap. Steady became. You better, Bebop laughed, but no one got the joke because he said it wrong. The Lind. Oh, God.
That was a good one.
You don't know how hard it is to get through those.
Oh, they're pretty awful.
There's some I tripped over. There's like one or two I tripped over. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's south.
And then he shooted his guns. Shot all the bullets. That's why I keep one extra bullet.
What will be gone?
The game. By that...
God damn it.
The game. By that double D, though, and though is THO. Author's note. LOL! My first ever fic with such dirtiness in it. Stupid smiley face. It was kinda random, and not the best I've ever done, cause I was honestly just so nervous and embarrassed to write this, let alone post it. Cool to experiment mode. Experiment though. Another stupid smiley face. In parentheses. Tried to add some comedy. Another set of parentheses. May have sequel. I do not own Ed, Ed, and Any, or any of the characters from it.
Oh, Jesus. We're in for a long time.
I'm telling you, Shovelchin, it's true. No way, man. You're bullshitting me. It's true, asshole. I'm not lying. Liar! Kevin shouted. He and Eddie had been going at it for days now. One would come up with some crazy fact or lie, and they would try to figure it out if it was true or fake. The other only had 3 hours to answer. Holy shit, that's a long fucking time. Only had 3 hours to answer, and you couldn't use any books or anything from the internet. The loser had to give the other a jawbreaker. If the other had no money and couldn't get one, they had to do one, and this is thing, but it's spelled T-I-H-N-G.
Just read it like it's...
Like it's supposed to be read?
Yeah, no, read it like it's not typed.
One, the winner told them two. So far, Kevin had figured out what it was like to swim naked at 3 a.m. during winter. Eddie had also learned something. That something happened to be how disgusting it felt to eat gum from underneath the school's lunch tables. Kevin couldn't figure out if this one was true or fake. He was a little stuck. He didn't have any money at the moment. Eddie had lately been hinting about something big for his next command from Kevin. He didn't want to know what it was. Now that little shouting match had happened a little over an hour ago. He had finally decided there was only one way to get his answer. Double dork. If anyone would know the answer, it'd be him. He had knocked about 5 times now, but still no answer. Kevin never did this, but he was a little desperate. He reached for the doorknob and was pleased to find it unlocked. He stepped inside the dark home and found it empty. That was normal, though. Well, he thought so anyway. The dork's parents were always gone. He honestly felt a little pity for the kid, but ignored his thoughts as he began walking upstairs. When he reached the top, he turned to the right and walked towards the slightly cracked door. The door had a label reading, Edward's room. He was about to open it and just barged in to see if the dork was home, but stopped when he heard a noise. It sounded like a moan? Did the dork finally have a girl? If so, he really ought to leave, but... He sighed, lightly. His curiosity gave in, and he peeked in. No, there were no girls in there. Just Double D. His eyes widened at the sight of him, the sight before him. Double D lie... Oh, God damn it. Double D lie on his back, his mouth slightly open and his eyes closed. He was completely naked. Oh, God. And a quite large and a quite large purple veiny dildo was being thrust in him by himself.
God damn, that escalated so bad.
Is he still wearing the hat? I think he'd still be wearing the hat.
That's just from there to there. I looked out on my phone and looked up and his dildo gets shoved up in his ass.
His other hand was around his cock and was stroking it lightly, barely at all. He arched his back and let out a loud moan with a slightly muffled word. Kevin had to strain his ears just to hear exactly what he'd said. Edward Marion Vincent, wow, that's his whole name, was moaning his name while fucking himself. What?
His own name?
Yeah, his own name. Oh, here we go. Kevin's hand slowly reached down to begin stroking himself. He smirked as he watched the way Double D squirmed as he said his name aloud. Kevin's breathing became fast as he watched Double D relax and come on his own stomach. Kevin had to cover his own mouth as he himself came. Wow, how eloquent. Double D pulled out the dildo slowly and set it on the and set it on the side table next to him. He began panicking as Double D stood up and wiped himself off with a tissue. He was covered in his own semen, and even some got on the floor. If he got caught, he wouldn't know what he'd do.
Yeah, probably. And you know what the fucked up thing? It's labeled dildo number 4.
Guys. Kevin, perhaps you should clean yourself up. Towels are in the closet next to you. I can take care of the rest. Besides, you should go and get some sleep. It's late. Kevin froze. No fucking way. Double D hadn't even come out and looked at the door, yet he knew Kevin had seen and had enjoyed it. Kevin felt his face heat up as he sheepishly grabbed a towel from the closet in the hall next to him. He wiped himself off and dropped the towel and began to run/walk away. He pulled the door open forcefully and was about to walk out. Kevin! Double D was standing at the top of the stairs, smirking evilly. Next time, why don't you join me? Also, Eddie isn't lying. A banana is a berry. Double D chuckled and waved as the miserably embarrassed Kevin ran out of his house, slamming the door behind him. Even though he didn't say it, Kevin fully intended to join the Smart Ed next time.
Wait, that's it?
That's it.
No closure.
Yay!
It had the perfect closure.
Yeah, there's a chance for a sequel. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for our continued series of fan fiction read by the men who bring you Memory Not Found. Like, comment, subscribe.
You smashed that motherfucking like button.
You smashed that motherfucking like button, bitch.
Alright, somebody call fucking names. Call fucking names. Call fucking names. Call fucking names.